Hello Libra, hopefully you can hear me loud and clear. It's great to see everybody. Welcome to your monthly reading. We're going to be looking at the next 6 to 8 weeks today. I'm really happy to be here with you. And for those of you that just joined me yesterday as well, you can see that we have some really important things to do, and the energy is opening up for that. We're kind of in between like a retrograde period, and next month it should be ending as well. So as we're looking at some of the transformative energies today, we're going to focus on how you can move with that. In fact, I'll be talking about the totems here in just a moment. And one of the totems was like the ocean tides, which are kind of like one of those natural forces of nature on Earth that really affect the changing and the movement that we all have to go through. So my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. We're going to be looking at Libra. And Libra, what we're going to be helping you with is navigating opportunities. I'm all about empowerment, and I really want to leave you in a place of empowerment. It's a really great day to be doing the reading because it's in the US, it's Dr. Martin Luther King Day. We're going to talk at the very beginning about the power of dreams, and then we're going to go into the rest of the channeled messages. But I feel like this was timed on a perfect time. I have my format right here, which is basically beginning with channeled messages. That's what came through specifically today. A lot of it came through dreams, also through some of the research and meditation that I do before I get started. Then we'll take a look at the Celtic Cross. And the Celtic Cross, of course, is going to allow us to go a little bit deeper into all of what's possible and what's present. And after that, we'll take a look at some expanded forecast areas of health, wealth, love, and destiny. And then I like to dig into some other things which are kind of fun. The big idea, which is kind of the answer to the question, what should I be doing this month? Blessings and blocks, things to embrace, things to walk away from, or kind of like transmute. And then also, I think it's important for you to focus on something that you want to look at. So I'll do that viewer's choice as well. Finally, at the end, I always like to answer a final question, but I do a meditation just before that so we can tune in, connect, and really kind of help you with any final question that you might have. So that's the overall format for today. If you're wondering where Apollo is, he's sleeping right behind me. You can't see him right now, but he's resting behind me. So if he comes out later, I'll let him say hi. But we have a lot to talk about today anyway. So like I said, let's begin. First things first, we're going to look at channeled messages. Let me just make sure that the display is going. I'm going to do something special today where we have a chance to look at this picture in picture. So it looks like it's working. So now you should see it. All right, today you had a couple of beautiful messages that came through. Last night when I was dreaming, I saw dolphins, and I also listened to their kind of call as well. And I was out there, a very playful sort of energy with them. Beautiful totem, really nice energy to connect with in dreams. Also the ocean tide or ocean tides came through. But before we kind of get into all of that, I think it's important to just give a little bit of recognition for the energy of today, which really surrounds dreams and dreaming. So of course, because this is on the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday, I think it's important to remind us of the importance of them. Like without dreams, our minds kind of get into an overload situation. So it is a way to kind of like clear and cleanse, but it's also a wonderful way to connect to the other realms. So astral projection, meeting with guides, meeting with ancestors and relatives who have passed. It opens us up to the energy of healing, because a lot of times we can talk to those people and kind of heal some of the stuff we didn't get to finish while they were alive. It helps us move on to another phase of our life. It shows us what's coming. And of course, dreams inspire. So the first message today is to make time for dreaming. Daydreaming, actual dreaming, focusing on putting together what your goals are, because that's a type of dreaming as well. So all of that is basically your first message. Make time and see what kind of dreams come to you, all right? The next thing that came through, again, we're going to focus on the dolphins first, was let's dig into what they're about. Let's relate this symbol to you. So dolphins are mammals, and they evolved from a terrestrial ancestor. And just kind of like if we look at a mermaid or something that kind of goes between two different realms, you may be in that same sort of energy, being asked to go between two different environments. But like the dolphin, if you are transplanted into something, you will adapt. The thing with the dolphin is it took a long time. It took millions of years for that to happen. It's not going to take that long in our lives. This is all symbolic. But one of the messages here is that change is slow. Change takes time. And what you want to do is give yourself the time necessary to adjust to any sort of shifts that are coming into your life. And like I said, because of the retrograde period that's upon us, you may be feeling it now, even if you're watching this in advance of February when I kind of designed this reading to be used. But these channeled messages are for here and now, so go with the flow here. Being true to yourself is essential. There's so many different species or different types of dolphins out there. A lot of them look different. They all have unique markings and characteristics, and it's a lot like human beings. We share common sort of genome and DNA, but we all look and act and talk and feel very different. So be true to yourself. Your strength is not in your ability to conform, and I wish we all were told this more as children. It's really in how you celebrate what makes you different. Variety is the spice of life. So spice it up a little bit. Be yourself. Sorry, Apollo, you okay, buddy? He got scared with a toy in the background. So anyway, I know change can be scary, even for a dog. So anyway, that's the message here, is to embrace the change. Your voice is magnetic. So of course, again, this was kind of symbolic, and if when I was looking at these dolphins, they really wouldn't be kind of like on the beach or kind of in the low tide, but they were accessible. It was almost like I could walk into the ocean and just sort of almost touch one of them. I chose not to because I wanted to respect their space, but they were that close. And I was drawn in by the song, almost like a siren, but in a positive way. It was just a playful sort of energy. So I think for you, the rocky tide or the rocky shore that I was seeing could be the experience that you're in right now. There could be some challenges that you're working through. There could be some difficulties. And what I see there are friends and family and support. When I was doing research, I guess they call the groupings of dolphins like a pod. And usually there's about a dozen, but there can be like these super pods where thousands will gather together. So you have this potential to tap into the communal energy. And your voice asking for it, or the way that you're communicating or sort of reaching out, that's going to be the essential piece here. Community is what I was talking about and really what we're getting to here. So you have this capacity to bring disparate, just a fancy word for different, or wildly sort of like varied groups of people together. You're the glue in that equation. You're also the magnet in that equation. So to me, this is symbolizing very good things, especially when it comes to business. So you could be someone who could bring, a special group of people to a product or a service or something like that wouldn't normally go there. It's just about relating it to them and letting them know that you understand. So again, going to your unique point of view, use that. It's often missing in certain groups or companies. When it comes to relationships, I think it's also really good because you can mend a bridge. You can release something as well. So the community energy is there to support, and also for some of you to kind of like let go of if you need to. There's something around the people in your life that's going to play a really important role for you, okay? The divine energies that are a part of this word are interesting. So I was looking it up, and I try to only go to verified sources. So some of them were talking about, there was like a divine feminine piece to it, which was maybe it came from the word womb, but when I looked it up, it was more just like a citizen of Delphi when I was looking at some of the Latin base of this word. But when I looked at the French word, this one I actually could validate with a few sources, and it comes from Dauphin, which means the eldest son of a king. And I remember back when I was reading like 20th century novel or something, Huckleberry Finn, I think, had this piece where they met a dauphin, and he called him a dolphin. So that reminded me of that story. But the totem is connected to the empress and the emperor nonetheless, because the son of the king has to come from a king and a queen. So I think the divine energies are a part of this, and it's connecting you to your divinity. So new and fruitful opportunities are on the horizon, but they do require the time, the energy, and the patience to come to fruition. Even the Dauphin himself would need time because he's not ready yet. There's still a king, perhaps. So this is basically about this regal energy that's coming through for you. You have great things in store for you, some Six of Wands on the horizon, but you have to let things kind of mature and grow and reach that point where you're going to be ready to step into it. What can you do in the meantime? Take care of yourself. Focus on your internal health and well-being. Tend to any sort of physical, emotional, or spiritual needs which you might have been neglecting. Many of us have been doing this over the past couple of years because of fear of getting sick or being around people. But there are things that you have to kind of weigh the trade-off, and there are times where you have to take care of yourself, like getting your teeth cleaned and things like that. Be kind to yourself and others, and remember that time and love are the great healing energies that are available to us. Love, in fact, is the currency of the universe, right? So when we use that, it's always going to be replenished. And when we use that, then people usually arise and go up to their highest energy possible. Looking at the physiology of a dolphin, there's blubber, which is basically this store of fat that's in their bodies. And there's a lot of different animals that have this. I think whales have it as well. It's not fat, it's protection. I mean, it's fat. It's not that they're fat. It's basically this sort of protective shield. So we need to develop that same sort of like metaphoric thick skin to insulate us. When you start to get more and more intuitively kind of connected and aware, then you may find it more difficult to ignore certain things. And when people are excited or angry or sad or whatever, that's going to get into your energy a little bit more if you don't put up a shield, a little bit of a shield. So I like to use light as a filter because I feel like a bubble can be popped. I feel like mirrors are okay, but they're a little difficult to sometimes imagine. So you can just imagine your North Star or your higher self or the sun itself shining down on you. And that light is so bright that shadow energy can't really penetrate it or it's going to be revealed. So only light can go through that light, a brighter light. So it's a really nice way to shield yourself if you're looking for a shield. Just imagine that the sun's shining a light and it's a spotlight. You're like an actor on stage and it's going to go everywhere you are. As I put at the bottom here, you want to avoid reinforcing negative behavior. So if anyone's trying to get a rise out of you, you really need to kind of like take a deep breath, walk away, or get someone to play the middle, basically, to intervene. You want to, at all costs, avoid that Five of Pentacles, which is a no-win situation. And again, it's someone just trying to poke and needle you a little bit more than they should. And because of this, I would say it's really important not to underestimate yourself, especially not underestimate other people. So I was talking about that sort of pod type energy here. You can always ask for help here, and you always have the ability to bring people together. That's the focus. And if we kind of go back into the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King, it was about finding commonalities. If you listen to the I Have a Dream speech, it's all about seeing how we are more similar than we are dissimilar. So I talked about the things that kind of set us apart, but we do have more core characteristics that bring us together. And I think if we can start to tap into that, you can do some great problem solving and negotiation and any sort of peacekeeping that you need to do as well. All of that is coming into focus for you. And I think that's everything. Let me just double check here. And I know there's one more here, a couple more here. So we have 2 more slides here. So the last thing is to talk about the tides. So like the low and the high tides in the ocean here, you may find yourself at one extreme or another right now. Try to avoid the 9 of Cups in reverse, which is basically overreaction. Stay calm, prepare yourself for a time when the waters are going to be even, somewhere in the middle. Everything's cyclical. This moment is also cyclical. So whether it's extremely high or feeling kind of punctuated in a low way, just know that you're going to find your way back to something that's more manageable. So one thing to think of right now, if you're actually watching this when I'm putting it on the live, then I would say the moon. We just got through a full moon, and I know that definitely affects me. My dreams are more intense. I feel the energies a little bit more. So of course, that heightened sensitivity could simply be that. But here's the cool thing. Let's say it's not. Let's say you're watching it next month and we're not looking at a lunar cycle. Whatever cycle you might be in your life, remember that these tides, these sort of changes, they circulate, they move, they distribute. So when you look at ecosystems, when you look at certain types of aquatic or marine life, they require and actually sort of lean into the tides in order to, like some animals will hunt when it's low tide because some things are trapped on the shore so they can eat. Certain things need to be on the shore to find some things before they go back in during high tide. The tide also gets rid of some stuff from the ocean and distributes it on the shore. So there's this lovely sort of energy of movement and dispersion, the world, if you will. And so at the end of that cycle, you go back to the Fool. So we're kind of between the world and the Fool, and there's a whole journey in between. So just remember that those high and low points are just that. They're not the definitive. And if you don't go with this sort of energy, then you get into stagnation. So the Tower reverse energy is really what I'm picking up on here for you. And I think that it's beneficial because it's going to allow you to just be able to embrace and enjoy what's available. But sometimes you have to be moved. Something has to be moved toward you as well. Okay, so there you go. Some really beautiful energies and messages, and hopefully you enjoyed that. Okay, so let's go ahead now and go to your next portion, which is going to be the Celtic Cross. Hard to believe we're going to go into the Celtic Cross already. So the Celtic Cross, again, we're going to be looking at all of the energies available over the next 6 to 8 weeks, and I'll try to help you navigate opportunities. Just a couple of quick notes before we go there. If you haven't yet had a chance to show your support for this channel, please do hit the like and subscribe button. It is so essential to the growth, and it helps other people discover it. And I'd really love to see this grow, especially as I try some new things in the new year. I'm going to hopefully do a podcast sometime this year, and some different types of things. So if I put my impromptu videos up and things like that, if you're not subscribed, you might miss out on that. So please consider doing it. It doesn't cost anything. It's free, and it really does help. If you want to follow me on social media, feel free to do that. Here are all of my links, and it's basically my name just about all across social media, and Ashbaugh on Twitter. And if you'd like to show a little bit of additional support, doing a one-time contribution, you can do that through a super sticker or super chat. You can do a continuing one by becoming a member. And also, Patreon is available, or PayPal, but you can see all of that on my website, which, by the way, is right here. And that's the link specifically to go to all of my my sort of scheduling information, which I did link up at the top. So let's go ahead now and transition and take a look at the energy that's going to come through for the next month. Again, I'm going to use Afro Goddess deck today. It feels like the right deck to connect with. So give me a moment to get set up here, and after I pulled all the cards, we'll discuss what's available to you. Right off the bat, a nice connection with what I was talking about with that community here with the 10 of Cups. By the way, as always, you can use this for Sun, Rising, Moon, Venus. Also, any aspect of your chart that you happen to know. That's a common question that I get. So if you know all of your chart, you can use this, and you can watch multiple readings as well. Zoom out a little bit, but don't worry if you can't see any card, because I'm going to be pulling each one up so that we can enjoy the messages and what they're displaying. Thanks again to anyone that has given a super chat or joined as a member. I will say some gratitude at the very end. So in advance of that, I just want to say thank you, though. All right, let's begin with your Catalyst card here. Your Catalyst card from Lord Ganesh is all about openness. Beautiful illustration here, lovely kind of cosmic energy. We do see the moon, which I was talking about a little bit earlier. So not being afraid of things, being open to what your feelings are telling you and teaching you. Because a lot of times, we've been taught to kind of hide our emotions or push them under the rug. And this almost looks like reminds me of a genie kind of in the air here. So we want to pull things out from underneath that rug and really embrace what's possible. Before you shoot down your idea or someone else's, really completely give it a space and time in your headspace, so that you're not just sort of thinking, oh, I could never do this, or this will never happen. So when you're in a sort of brainstorming situation, you want to make sure that everything gets captured on the drawing board or on the whiteboard. When you're thinking about things that you want to do for yourself or in your life, this is also about making sure that you don't immediately discount something. Just think, well, I don't know, I'm open to that. Let's keep talking. Let's explore. Let's see. let's see is kind of a powerful way of thinking like, I don't know, I need to kind of, I want to at least be curious enough to see where it might bring me. As we look at your center card here, we have the lovely Ten of Cups. And the Ten of Cups is interestingly enough being crossed by the Eight of Swords, which is often a card that is like one of surprise, like how could this happen? So let's dig a little deeper into this one. And as we're looking here at your Ten of Cups, beautiful illustration showing friends and family and people who care about you, some of you may be surprised that that exists. You might think, what do I have to offer? Or you might be comparing yourself to other people and thinking, how can I get what they have? The truth of the matter is you already are deserving, capable, and able to connect to this, but there is this disbelief. And disbelieving in oneself is actually more powerful than what opportunities are in front of you. So if you can believe in the possibilities and dismiss disbelief, lots of D words there, then you can actually bring in the underlying energy, which is Ten of Cups. So if we focus less on how could this happen or happy surprise and more on this, what I'm seeing here is increased focus on core relationships, people that care, really kind of leaning into the things that matter and the relationships that matter. So that's your focus right now, Libra. And you are powerful at connecting people. That was something that we did definitely discuss when we were looking at your channeled messages this month, that sort of magnetic energy that the dolphins were bringing through, right? Your deep past is you. So in the deep past, we have the Goddess of Swords or the Queen of Swords, one of my favorite symbols to come up for you, Libra, because it is strong, it is nurturing, it is assertive, it's excellent at communication. No surprise that we have a lot of messages around communication and the gift and the power intrinsic to it. So this is a month where you need to be seen and heard. So if you are used to kind of being in the background, this Queen of Swords is coming through and saying, okay, this is important. It's worth putting yourself out there. You know, most of the cards are pretty good. There's a little something going on with self-confidence or self-control, which we'll talk about in a moment. But when I'm looking at all of the outcome cards, the possibilities, everything's pretty bright and sunny. So I think it's important to speak up. If we take a look at the table for a second and look at what's coming through here in the ego, we do have the Devil card. And so for some of you, there's something that you're working through or trying to work past. This could be a feeling of like, how can I be seen or heard? Why does this other person have more power? Or maybe there's some jealousy, or maybe someone's not giving you what you need. There's a need to sort of break free of the shackles right here. And I feel like if you can do that, or the way that you can do that actually is by leaning into the Goddess or the Queen of Swords energy here. Okay. Let's move on to recent past, and we'll talk more about her as we get into everything. So in the recent past, we have the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is a reminder that, like I said earlier, everything has a season and a reason. The ebbing and the flowing of the high tide and the low tide is definitely a part of this card. So always like to remind you of the divine origin of it, which was by waiting on that tree of life and kind of sacrificing some time, some energy, and a little bit of blood too. Odin was able to gain knowledge, but he had to sacrifice time or energy or resources. So for some of you, you may feel like you're stuck a little bit, or that you've had to give a lot, but you're not getting a lot. This is saying to be patient, especially if it's something that requires time to finish. So it's easier when we look at something like education, because you know that if I do this, if I get this grade, if I wait this amount of time, I'll graduate, and it's going to take precisely this amount. But that kind of, it's interesting. I think sometimes school sets us up for failure because life is not like that. It is not evenly laid out in semesters. It is not, it's not graded, not on a B, C, D, F scale or whatever, or anything of that nature. It's really kind of in between, and you got to be more capable of being flexible, right? Sometimes you have to push this over to take care of this. Sometimes everything kind of doesn't go the way you want, and it's more about how do you react to that. So your patience could be tried. Trust in the overall plan. Revise it if you need to, but don't get a sort of a sense of panic. Think, what can I do with this? And how can I do this in a meaningful, patient way? That's going to be so important for you, okay? You're not stuck. It seems like you're stuck, but you're not stuck. It's in the past. When we look at where this is placed, it's literally in the recent past. And the message from the deep past is to find and celebrate your kind of voice in how this all works. All right, so far so good. The central energy being friends and community. You may be surprised that people would say yes, or that people might be interested, but don't be. They are interested. They will come to you if you need to. Remember, openness is what Lord Ganesh was bringing through as the catalyst, and the catalyst brings about positive changes in your life. Your crowning card is the Son of Wands, or a Knight of Wands energy. Knights are great. They bring action. And when we were looking at the Dauphin energy earlier, this would be a part of that as well, because we're looking at like sun energy. So for many of you, you are closer to a goal than you think, and you really have to just develop the idea. When I look at wands, it's to me a very sort of inventive suit, particularly when it comes to the court cards. So I see them as thinkers and managers when I'm looking at them. And this is kind of like in the middle. It's a step up from the person that's kind of like just passing on the messages. So don't underestimate your power and your ability to demand an audience with somebody. So if you need the attention of someone in your life, a boss, a financial expert, a friend, someone that you want to go out on a date with, whomever it might be, you can command that audience, because knights have a sort of presence and an ability to break through that. You have to do what's right. Literally, that's kind of the code of conduct when we look at a knight, and you have to follow what feels like it's the right idea for you, okay? So I think that as long as you're ready and willing to do that, then good things await you, okay? The interesting thing here is that someone is not even kind of listening to this. What we're talking about is focusing on self. Someone was asking about a twin flame energy, but I'm going to answer not that, but like this is about you. Right now, and the way that I do this, by the way, you can check out my romance impromptu that I did. It's on my main channel page, so check it out if you want to look at love. Today, we will look at love as a part of the expanded forecast, but this is all about you. And the more you get yourself together, the more that you're going to attract someone and pull someone into your life that's going to not require sort of a reading. It kind of gets you in a really solid space. So this Son of Wands, this Knight of Wands is actually coming through to say, listen to what's going on here and here. Focus on the big picture. A lot of times we're looking at the periphery and it gets us off the path. So we're talking about managing resources, managing thoughts. This is going to be important to not get distracted because yes, love is something that's available to you this month, but it is in the final outcome. So the work that has to be done first is internal. We will look at love when I look at the expanded forecast, but don't get off path by focusing too much on someone else. Because what I'm seeing here is, as we look at the near future, we have the Daughter of Swords, Page of Swords. So for many of you, you're going to have to interpret some messages that are coming in. It could be about relationships, but it's more likely going to be some decisions that you need to make. And when we look at this, it's about being discerning. So the Page of Swords is going to look at this with a sort of critical eye to make sure that they're not missing some piece of the equation. Keep your mind on what it needs to sort of be focused on. Ask those difficult or important questions that are going to be necessary to clarify things, right? I think that's so important, and that's going to help you avoid stepping into something that you don't want to, and that's what we see here with the Devil card. So your thoughts are in a great place right now. Your ability to communicate, also great. Listening and asking and editing and revising, do whatever you need to do. Your voice is everything this month. This is the card we need to focus on. So this is you. This is the ego card this month. It's the Devil. Some of you, like me, might have a Capricorn in your chart, so mine's in the ascendant. So this could be about work and business for some of you if you have a Capricorn ascendant. But for the rest of us, and there could be a Capricorn in your life that's kind of occupying a lot of your headspace. But Capricorn notwithstanding, if we look at the other energies of the Devil card, notice how this one is all in the head space. Normally when we see a Devil, we would see that energy in between, and we see a couple on either side. And then we see chains. It's a lower frequency version of the Lovers card. Lovers, you see an angel in Eden, and they're open, and there's nothing to worry about. The other one, you see the Devil, chains, the two lovers again, but they're not talking, they're not looking at each other, or they're chained together. So we want unconditional energy when it comes to love. We want contracts that are open and free, and we want someone who thinks of us on that same level. You know, on one of the slides, I didn't read it, but I'm remembering it as I'm talking, which is to see yourself on an even playing ground, even kilter. So it's not even about teams, my team versus your team. You're on the same team if it's the right partnership. That's why I kind of like the word partner. So that you can infer from that that person has your back and vice versa. So the important thing as you look at different partnerships and different opportunities is, do these different people have your back? Do you trust in your own power and ability? Because it seems like some of you might be underestimating yourself, as we would see with the Eight of Swords. There's great potential, great energy. Don't rush. Don't lose focus. Don't be afraid to ask what you need to ask. And by doing all of those, so by being patient, by keeping your mind where it needs to be, by asking those questions, and by not being surprised at when people are interested in you, because look at you, you're powerful, right? Then you're going to start to call in the right kinds of relationships and energies, all right? This is a great time for you to look at anything that you don't like. There could be a habit, there could be a way of thinking, there could be a person, it could be your job, so many different things that can embody the energy of the devil. It's usually something that weighs us down, holds us back, or asks us to be something that we're not. So you use your own sort of lens to find what that might be in your life. Whatever it is, now is the time to release, especially as we go through retrograde energy. It's a chance to release all of that sort of stuff so that when you get on the other side, which again, it's going to be most of next month. I want to say it's like the first week it goes direct, but I'll look at it later and confirm. But most of February should be good, at least the middle portion onward after you get out of the shadow. Then you want to be ready for the positivity and the good changes. So this is a time to clean things up in the relationships that are around you. And habits can be anything. It can be a way of thinking. It could be something you're doing, whether it's eating, drinking, smoking, things like that. All of that stuff, you now have a chance to release a little bit, okay? Ultimately, there could be something that's not quite ready. So if you meet someone and they are still in a relationship and they promise you that they can get out, if you meet someone and they are not returning your calls, if you apply for a job and you've been on 5 interviews or something like that, there's certain signs that come across eventually saying, this isn't it. So step back and let the timing be right. Going back into what we saw with recent past, Hanged Man is basically saying, give it time, right? I think that's going to be so vital to being able to understand something better could be on the horizon as well, okay? So I have people asking about moon, sun, etc. Yeah, the Capricorn can be any part of your chart if you have it. That's just saying in that part of your chart, you want to spend a little bit of extra time and care because it doesn't define you. So if you have that, for those of you that do have Capricorn placements, what this could be showing is if it's in your rising, you could be working too much. If it's in your moon, you could be focusing too much on a fear or on a relationship. If it's, it just depends where it's at really. And that's going to kind of like define what you need to focus on. So look at that area of your life and either give it a little less or a little more focus and release anything in that could be affecting you. But for the rest of us, just plain Libra that may or may not have Capricorn placements, it's about power, transparency, and availability. Like you're regaining your power, reclaiming your power. You're being transparent and honest with others because the devil card doesn't like that. And if someone's not available, someone better will come along. You deserve more than that. No strings attached, right? You deserve unconditional positivity and energy and abundance. All right, so we just looked at you as you show up here, your ego, your energy. And as we take a look at what's available around you, the environment, also kind of the way people are looking at you, it's pretty good, but it does align with one of my messages around not going to extremes. So we have the Nine of Cups here, and the Nine of Cups card is all about celebration, joy, positive, the sunny side of the street, the silver lining. When we see a reversal of this card, it can be about losing your footing, losing your grounding. So we see this lovely grounded yogi type pose here, but when it's reversed, you are no longer balanced. So Libra, I say this because I'm Libra sun, so I can relate to a lot of the messages here. It's important for you to make sure that you find your balance. And I mentioned some places with the devil energy that there may be an imbalance. So wherever that is, just take the chains and take the reins back because you always have that power and that potential. That's kind of how I like to look at the devil card. You could just take the chains and imagine that it's the chariot and you're going to like go in the right direction. You always have the power to do so. Don't over or underreact on something and realize that there's always more to the picture, always more to the puzzle, okay? if you have been consistently putting yourself in the sort of back seat, then the Nine of Cups is also asking you to choose to be happy, choose to have fun. That sort of playful energy that I saw with your totem today with the lovely dolphins is a part of this as well. They go up and down, in and out. They ride the sort of energy of the current. So you're going to be asked to do the same. And if you do that, it's going to be okay. Emotions can kind of feel really, really heavy in the moment, but I feel like that moment will come and go and you're going to be all right after that. So I think we've covered everything for that. There could be a really big celebration as well on the horizon. Big party, big gathering. Obviously, you have to follow common sense right now since we're still working through a global pandemic. But if it feels good or if there's a great opportunity to just to kind of connect to things, then I feel like this could be really good for you. So I'm just moving something out of the way there. So think about that. See how you feel about that. And I feel like generally that's a positive and a sort of celebratory card. So let's look at the things to celebrate. All right, looking down at the table one more time here, we have the Sun card here, and this is in your opportunity space. What a great card to come through in opportunities. I also love the imagery on this particular card because we're seeing basically harvest time, and it looks like a dove here as well. If I look at it really close, it may be something else. Let me put my glasses on. Make no assumptions here. Yeah, I think it's two doves actually when I put the glasses on. So if you look really, really close, we can see two little doves there. And it's interesting because in some decks, you will actually see the Sun as a love card, lover's card. So I have an old-fashioned deck, Morgan Greer. I think in the Morgan Greer deck, you'll see a solar disk and two faces right in front of each other. I know I have some other decks that will have the Sun as lovers. So it's your attractive energy, you shining brightly, you being you, that really brings in that love. And so self-love is so important, and that's why I keep getting real close to those little lovebirds. Love yourself and others will love you too. It's not about narcissism. It's not about, getting a big head. It's about accepting and loving divinely who you are, because you worked with God and the angels and the powers that be out there that we may not even have words for to develop this life. And I've talked before about what I've seen in some past life flashbacks, but one of them I saw the programming phase where there was a minimum of two, possibly three angelic entities, and it was like you were in a fitting room looking at possibilities that you could try on. What kind of family, what kind of culture, what kind of language, what kind of body, what kind of challenges. So you're at a drawing board or in a sort of changing room where you get to explore and have some fun. So if you allow yourself to imagine, and if you allow yourself to sort of just believe like, okay, I set this up, why don't I just go with it? Great things can happen for you, okay? In possibilities, it's a birthing card as well. So you can see lovers on the card. Sometimes you can associate this with birth or a child, of course, because you would normally see a baby on a horse with this. So I see movement with a dream, movement with a plan, movement in general. The tides are coming in. And it's a nice way to kind of bring you to your outcome, which is Ace of Cups. So that which you seek is en route. This is very, very positive. It's portending good things for love and romance as well. So even if we look at the cards, and we're going to go deeper into love in a second, but if we just glance at the cards for a second, let's say things have been a little bit stagnant lately. Let's say that you're looking at everything and wondering like, where do I stand? What do they think? What's going on? Your ability to communicate is what's going to open it up. You have to break through the unknowns, because ultimately this is saying you're going to get what you're looking for, or you might get something better. This is one important piece that I'd like to highlight here. Sometimes we think that love, our dream, whatever it is that we're hoping for, comes in one package and one wrapper. The universe may know that there's something better for you. So I want you to open up your mind. This Ace of Cups is not necessarily the way you imagined. We don't just go to a catalog like Amazon in the sky or something and say, I'll take that, and I'd like the free 2-day shipping, please. When you manifest, the timing can be a little bit surprising, but imagine that the surprise could be sooner than expected. I didn't see that coming, but I'm happy. So as you manifest your dreams, say all of this are better, and if something better comes along, then don't second guess it, my friend. You created that better by opening yourself up to it. Accept what this universe is trying to bring to you, which is an upgrade, okay? But the upgrade could be surprising in its timing or in its shape. So that's a little aside from my guides to you. Something wonderful is about to happen. But the timing, the shape, something about it could surprise you. I really liked 2001: A Space Odyssey, but they did a sequel to it. Not as good, but they included a line that should have been part of the original, which was part of the book that Arthur C. Clarke wrote, which is when the main character looks into the it is a Stargate, but he looks into the monolith and he says, "My God, it's full of stars." They should have put that in the original movie. They did put it in the sequel, and it surprised them. They didn't know what they were looking into, and then he goes into the Stargate, of course. But imagine it's kind of like that monolith in 2001 or 2010, where it's not what you thought, because they were thinking, it should look a certain way or act a certain way or whatever. So you're kind of on that monolithic, big sort of opportunity, but you have to, it kind of blows your mind sometimes. So I want you to kind of imagine that it could be something much bigger. We're going to move along now to the expanded forecast. The expanded forecast is a chance for us to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. It's also a reminder for me to take a drink, which I normally do at this point. All right, hydration, very important. Okay, so health, wealth, love, and destiny. It's an additional chance for us to just put a new lens on the experiences in the cards here. So let's take a look at your first card here, which is going to be your health card. The health card is spiritual abundance, and it says, "Thank you for blessing me with infinite abundance." Amen to that. As I'm looking at this card, we see her holding a bunch of coins, which here in when we're looking at tarot can just be pentacles, opportunity, resources, all of that. And I want you to not be surprised. Don't be surprised if something, like I said, something wonderful is en route to you. Let's look specifically at some of the messages around the cards that are in front of us and see if there's something that we can look at when it comes to something that's important with money. The first thing that I'm noticing is that I'm going to scribble this down too. We didn't get a normal sort of money card, right? Because we have swords, we have wands, we have swords and cups and the devil and the sun. So one thing that I'm going to put here for me to look at when we do reader's choice, probably, I want to take a look at resources because that's missing. But we'll look at money in a second as well. So more time for that. But looking at health messages here for the health piece, there are no resources that can affect your health and well-being. This could actually be why we have the devil card coming through here for you. Because if you don't have the support and you don't ask for the support, then you stress yourself out. There's hidden resources right here because just to remind you, if we look at the center card, we have the 10 of Cups. So all you have to do is ask. If you're feeling overwhelmed, if you need money, if you need time, if you need some sort of assistance, ask for it. Other people can't, even if you have intuitive people, they shouldn't have to look at cards or read your mind. So this is basically saying, even if I can read your mind, I shouldn't have to read your mind because you are capable and ready and willing to sort of like say what you need to say. So that's step one. The other thing with health is emotional health and well-being. Definitely, and standard disclaimers apply on this, by the way, but you definitely need to ask for help here. I'll even show you the disclaimer, which is basically like, if you need help, ask for help. I need to kind of put that out there. But as a sort of like, just looking at the card and the energy of the card here, if you're feeling overwhelmed, then whether it is talking to a counselor, whether it is asking for some advice from a teacher or a friend or someone that's in the know, that is going to be what helps you get past that obstacle, right? I think emotional well-being is going to be the biggest challenge for many of you. I think some of you also might need to move a little bit more, paying special attention to the legs and especially the ankles, because in this particular card, there's a weakness in that ankle. You're being hung by basically the right around the ankle. So I would say anything from the knee to the ankle, you really want to be paying attention to that as well. So lower extremities, emotional well-being, all of those things are things to focus on. And then, of course, just looking at this main card here, this can be limits that you place on yourself. I'm not worth this, or this won't happen, or how could that be? So don't limit yourself at all in that respect. And then if there's anything that you're trying to release in your life, this is also reminding you of the power and the importance of being able to just do that, okay? So Mostly just looking into what you might be afraid of letting go of and letting go of that, and understanding that this is the month to reclaim and regain your power. Okay? Beautiful messages overall. And of course, we just get abundance here. So even though I'm looking at health, I kind of immediately went to wealth. So Pentacles aren't just money, it's love and opportunity. And we see a little bit of meshing of the two here. So it does feel like many of you are going to have a chance to thrive in both areas. Why not, right? All right, let's move along to the next one. So we just looked at health. Now we're going to look at wealth. Again, it's connected to what we were just talking about. So let's see what the connection is. So it says soul expansion here. Your consciousness is expanding. You understand the connection between all things, or the connections between all things. Beautiful energy here. Looks like we have the Om symbol at the center. And again, expansion. So let's connect this to work and career and life purpose for those of you that are retired. Do you feel like it's expanding for you? Do you feel like this is helping you grow? If it's not helping you grow, then why perhaps are you connected to that? Why are you doing what you're doing? And it's sort of like a homework question, one that you can answer on your own when you're ready, but that's the main thing. You should be expanding. If you're not expanding, then there's an opportunity to try something from a different perspective, okay? Looking at what's available to us elsewhere in the cards here. So that's basically showing that expansion should be a part of it. I already highlighted that I didn't see a resource coming in for many of you. So when we're looking at other things, let's look at how you can affect this in a positive way. First of all, the charisma energy of the Sun card is fantastic. This tells me that if we think of great salespeople in history, sometimes I like to mention Steve Jobs because he could get up there and sell like a printer if he had to, and we got excited about it. And it wasn't because, you know, maybe the thing was so amazing. It was the energy that he put out there, right? So all you have to do is believe in what it is that you're trying to create or sell. If you have that belief, others are ready to connect, and they're like, yes, sign me up. So the belief is essential. Disbelief that people could connect with you, that is something you want to avoid. Use your voice. As I said, we have two vocal cards here with the Queen of Swords and the Page of Swords. So you have this great potential and this great energy to get people connected. So do it by all means. Follow through on your ideas. Everything looks good. The only thing that we want to avoid is the devil energy that we see here. There could be someone that wants to come in and take credit. There could be someone that tells you can't say or do that. There could be someone that wants to put a glass ceiling or some sort of artificial limit around you. Don't let them do it. It's time to move on. Hold your ground and stand your ground and say what you need to say. Queen of Swords is coming through to say, not today. I don't do that. And you could ask for a revision, especially on a contract. This can be a revision if needed. Okay? Ultimately, though, with your outcome being Ace of Cups, I think you're going to get, again, sort of a happy surprise, or your positivity will win the day and could win someone over in a negotiation. So very, very good. The main thing here is that there's something that needs to come out. Some of you could be sitting on a secret. Maybe it's a secret you didn't want to keep. And if it's not the right kind of secret to keep, then it's time to do something about that. Transparency, honesty, reclamation of power. Definitely important when it comes to career and finances, okay? But everything else in the spread is very, very positive. So once you deal with that, everything opens up for you, okay? And ultimately, the card is about expansion. So where there was none, there will be a lot, basically. So we see expansion. You also might be prioritizing happiness over money. Good for you. I did a similar sort of thing when I left my corporate job, which gave me guaranteed wages for the very sort of chaotic and unpredictable energy of doing what I'm doing. But I kind of like freedom, and thanks to the support of all of you, I'm okay. But there is sort of a lot of questions even in what I do. Things ebb and flow. So, but you have to choose happiness sometimes over that predictable sort of energy, because money isn't everything, and that sort of titles aren't everything, and material good isn't everything. You don't take it with you. It's nice to have if you can get it, and there's no reason to feel bad if you can get it. But if you don't have it, or if you're working towards something else, if you're happy, if you're satisfied, then you're rich. Richness is how you feel at the end of the day. Okay, so that's the important piece with that. Looking at the Spread here now, we did health, wealth, we're going to go to love. We have third eye activation. It's come up a few times here in relationships. It's coming up for you again. Brow chakra, inner vision, clear seeing. So let me pull up the card here for you again. We see sort of like this gateway, this keyhole, this sort of passage that you can move through. So there's an awakening. You're going to see something even if you don't want to see it when we're looking at love. We're going to take a look at love in 3 different categories, and you can use it with a capital L. So it can be a key relationship in your life, like a boss, like a sister, like anybody that a neighbor, etc. Whoever you think and spend the most time with, you can apply this to that, this first piece. So those of you in a key relationship, then we'll look at those of you trying to find a partnership or relationship of some sort, and then those that are just open to what the universe may bring. So let's begin with those of you that are actually looking for love, looking for a relationship. The most important thing, again, is this openness energy that we saw initially with Lord Ganesh. And if we can stay open, then really great things can come through. However, if we're kind of looking at the core energy of relationships and what to focus on, the main thing here with the Devil card is there are some issues around control. Who gets the say? Who gets the final decision on things? Does it matter? Can there be, it's not really about losing or winning with this, but sometimes it feels like we have to choose sides. So this is reminding you not to get so binary with that, that you should both be on the same team. You shouldn't even be competing. It should just be equals. So finding equity and letting go of secrets, pulling things into the open, first and most important thing. One party or both may feel like they're kind of left out. This 8 of Swords card can be feeling like you're ignored or not paying attention to something. 2 of Swords, 8 of Swords, very similar in that respect. How do you fix it? Easy. Speak, talk, communicate. Have some fun, playful energy. All of the dolphins together were reminding me of this. And definitely looking at the positive things that you've made progress on, your partner's made progress on, and really nurturing and focusing on that. So often we focus on, I want this, I need this isn't happening. And when we do that, we kind of block out what is going right. So positive reinforcement is going to be a really big part of this. Choosing love. If you want to make it work, you can make it work. It's up to you. But we have a very sort of interesting black and white with this too. These 2 cards. It's either blame or love. And we've got to work past the blame and look at equal accountability on this, how this got started, and that's what's necessary, okay? But ultimately, love prevails as your outcome card, and even the near future card is very positive. Just keep the communication open. Ask for a mediator if you need it. That's going to be super important to just overall success. Those of you that are looking for a relationship, you have to work on yourself first. That's why I just focused on this. Clean up your karma, your business, your life. Don't say yes to someone who's not available. It doesn't matter if they say they're going to be available. This card is indicating that you deserve more than that. Avoid letting your emotions get in the way. Don't go too fast or too slow. This kind of works with those of you in a relationship as well. Basically, let's take sometimes it can feel like you're just exhausted, the energy here, but you don't want to exhaust that other person too. I recently went through that where someone in my life just was really chaotic, and they acted out and did so much that I don't care. I had to kind of like pull back. And I'm sure we've all had this moment where someone they burn the fuse, right? So avoid doing that with people in your life. If you need to kind of talk, that's why it's actually important to talk to someone. But if you need that, spread it around to some different people or talk to a trained professional for that. Ultimately, can you find love? Absolutely. This is a higher love too. The Sun card and the Ace of Cups, this is what you've been waiting for. Don't be surprised or don't think that it's not going to come, because that will put a block up. You're telling the universe then that I've lost faith in myself. And we can't lose faith. Faith is important, okay? The other thing here now, looking at for those of you that might be basically focusing on what the universe has to give you. You're not focusing so much on relationships, but you're curious what's going on with people and opportunities. Well, there are new places that you could go, new connections that you could make, because we still have a highly communal energy here. The dolphins that I saw were not romantic. They were just best friends and family, chosen family as well. So you might be finding that sort of pod that we called it. This is your chance to go out there, but you have to put yourself out there, because if you're just waiting for people to find you and wondering why they're not, you're going to have to find a way to be seen. Somehow putting yourself out there is essential. Patience as you kind of like continue on the next path is key. For yourself, though, what is it about? Overcoming fear, managing emotions, and for many of you, stepping into a really exciting opportunity. I think it's actually kind of positive if you're not focusing so much on a relationship. Don't be closed to it, though. That was one thing that I said when I decided to try doing just a relationship read the other day. I was like, I don't normally look at it, but I don't want to avoid it as a reader either, so let's just see it. The interesting thing when I was looking at the relationships and I did all 12 signs is I kept pulling the same cards for different signs, which is why I do collectives, because we're all kind of going through similar things. I feel like looking at the elements is enough sometimes because I feel like we're kind of moving past having to separate and segregate into all those little tiny signs. We have a lot more in common, to go back to my original message, than we have differentiating us. So if we just gather together and think together, then we can usually work through things. And I guess that's part of the message for those of you that are single and happy. Focus on yourself, be open to things, and there could be something really great that's offered. So don't think that I don't ever want that again. There might be something knocking that surprises you. Surprise is one of the key elements, Libra. Get ready for a positive surprise. That's a really important thing when you're manifesting. Don't think of maybe the worst will happen. Think maybe the best will happen. Okay? Let's go ahead now and look at your destiny card. By the way, one last thing with this. If you think you see something or know something, I want you to dig a little bit deeper, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's true. So that third eye awakening is saying sometimes you see something before someone's ready to tell you. All right, moving on to your destiny card, we have Vulcan and inventiveness. Vulcan, of course, also is Hephaestus, the smith of the gods, basically, the blacksmith. So there is this energy of transmutation, transmogrification, whatever you want to call it, but it's basically taking one thing and making it something else. The card is reversed, and we also have inventiveness on this. So some of you may be limiting your ability to move through something because you think you can't do it. Again, trusting in self-confidence and skills and all of that is going to be so important to the next month, and I would say the next year as well. So don't limit yourself. Destiny is something you're still writing as we're reading this. So I want you to think about what it is you're going to create, not just that you want to create, but that you're going to create. Okay? Good. All right, so let's do one more card here. As you can see, we've pulled all the main cards. Now I'm going to do something that I call the big idea. And the big idea is what brings all of this together. So give me a moment to shuffle everything. See what your big idea is for this month. Justice, it's you. Amen to that. All right, so your big idea right now is justice. Justice, again, is finding the balance that you need in your life, choosing the path. Look at her with she has like a little tear there as well, but we see the path behind her. And basically, she knows where to go, and it's really just a choice. Justice isn't necessarily always saying that the decision has been made. A lot of times those scales are still going back and forth, and you have to think to yourself, now or later? Am I ready? What am I waiting for? There's some internal dialogue that's rolling around. Back in the days when we used to have like a tape, it's kind of like a tape that just keeps playing and rolling and rolling and rolling. So what you need to do is answer some of those questions in your head. Why are you waiting? What is it that you want to do? When will you get started on it? The sooner you make decisions, the sooner it starts happening. Balance is the main focus this month. You're showing up very strong, very powerful. Twice we have cards that I would definitely connect with your sign. So I'm feeling good about it for you. Divine feminine in both of these. So that abundance, that fertility, that ability to bring things into fruition, all a part of this as well. It's going to be a good month for you. The only thing you got to work through is the fear, the limit, whatever this is. It's very short-lived because you're stronger than that. Okay? Perfect. All right, so let's move into the next portion of this forecast. We just finished up the extended and we looked at that big idea. Let's go ahead now and take a look at blessings and blocks. Blessings and blocks, much like they sound, are things that we can embrace, things that we may also want to avoid. So let's take a look and see what's coming through. For this, I'm going to use an accompanying deck here, also part of Afro Goddess. It's an oracle deck, just because I'm already in this and it kind of will match it, and it's a nice change from just the tarot cards. So you can see links to these on my website, and Maria can put a link, but they're all part of the Afro Goddess deck. This is just the oracle that is associated with it. All right, so let's give everything a shuffle here. And we're going to take a look at blessings and blocks. Blessing first, then the block. Very cool that we got an aquatic card as well. All right, so let's talk about this. Your blessing card is the mountain. And the mountain is in the reverse state. So for many of you, on the like if we look at this as the most positive way that you could read this, 10 of Wands can sometimes feel like it's an uphill battle. Normally you would see someone with a lot on their back looking up and thinking, how can I do this? This particular card is saying you've already gotten through the toughest part. So just keep the journey going. Some of you could also be at a new beginning. And when we're at the, when you've kind of come down the mountain and you look at the next mountain that you need to climb, you think to yourself, this again? But remember how you got through that sort of journey before. You just take one step at a time, one breath at a time, and you keep focusing on where you're at in that moment. You don't have to climb it in a day. Just one step at a time. That's the most important thing. And that also, it connects nicely to what we saw in the environment card here with the 9 of Cups. 9 of Cups also in the reverse state. I'm going to take it one moment at a time. I'm going to celebrate my little moments of joy and accomplishment, and I'm not going to let one sidestep or step backwards take me off the journey that I've already done. Take a moment to ground yourself a little bit and see how far you have come, even if it is just one step. Let me put my glasses on for this one. I think I see like a tiny little person at the top of that mountain. I'm going to believe that's what it is. If you look really closely, it looks like a little tiny person on this mountain. So sometimes we feel insignificant, right? But you're not. Sometimes just the overarching idea can kind of feel like it's too much, too fast. So one step at a time. All right, so the block. This is the devil energy here. We have the anchor card. Remember I said that you might find yourself kind of like the dolphin, a merman or merwoman, and we see the mermaid here in the background. We're going to release the anchor. The anchor for you is the limiting thought that's holding you in place. That may be all the devil is for some of you. I can't. Take the word can't out. It's not part of your vocabulary this month. Think about what you can do or what you're going to do instead of that. But we don't want to focus on the can't, won't, don't, never. That stuff it's anchoring you. And if there's anyone in your life that's anchoring you as well, and you need to fly, you need to float, you need to move in the other direction, you've got to remove the anchor, okay? So the anchor is a limit. So, and I love the sort of, we'll just call it a mer person. So the mer person in the background, love that it can kind of travel between two territories, which is what we've been talking about. And it is a lot of the two today. We're going to be looking at sea and earth. So you are between a couple of different points. You're going to have to figure out where you want to be. The universe is kind of waiting for an answer on that one. And at the end of the day, it's really you and you alone that can answer that. So as convenient as it would be to get like just a yes, no, or do this, you are going to have to decide. But I think saying no to the limits is a big piece of that. All right, at this point, I would like to move along to the viewer's choice. So I will look at all of the cards here and suggest a couple of options. And then as you vote, I'll do a reader's choice, which I already chose. I want to look at the resources. Okay, so give me a second to get the poll set up. A quick reminder that you can always do this if you're looking at it on desktop or a mobile device. On desktop, you have to be able to see the chat. Give me a second to type everything up here. So we're going to be looking at viewer's choice. So the main thing that I want to look at is the anchor or devil energy. So I'm going to say it's not necessarily releasing the anchor. It's because that would be anchoring yourself. It's removing the anchor. / devil energy. Okay. The next thing that I'd like to look at is to focus on how you can manifest that surprise. Manifesting a happy surprise. And the third option is expansion. So where can I grow? And this is particularly in regards to wealth. And I'm going to put like purpose because some of you are retired, so I want to be mindful of that. So you get a few moments to vote on those. And while you're doing that, I'm going to focus on a reader's choice. I'm going to use the same Oracle deck just to kind of, again, add a little bit of spice here. So for this, what we're going to look at is where are those resources? I wrote that down earlier. What's going on? Okay, we have the mice here on this particular card. The mice are a curious symbol when we're looking at sort of symbology. So what I like about mice when we're looking at resources is even when we think things are scarce, they have a good way of finding things. Now, as a dream metaphor, mice can show that you want to be careful about who you're working with or the company that you're keeping or the energy that you're working with, because sometimes they can take things they shouldn't. So looking at resources, I actually feel like these two are connected. So somebody could be taking a little more than they should, giving a little less than they should. Someone may not be completely saying everything that's available. So we really want to look at trust when it comes to who you're sharing your financial information with, who you're entrusting maybe investment decisions with or to, and before you sign on the dotted line of something new like a lease or a mortgage, get the information that you need to make sure that you can do it. The devil can also be a sort of energy of overpromising, so it can be something we create for ourselves. The mice tell me, though, that there's some little details that need to be ironed out and taken a look at. I do like that they have a great ability to survive. They're also very abundant, like mice reproduce pretty quickly. So when I try to look at anything, I look at it objectively and look at the positive and the negative. So the positive here is we can see some growth and recovery happen pretty quickly. The contrary piece is that you need to make sure that everything has been ironed out and that there's nothing hidden in contracts in particular. So that's the message around money. Okay, let me take a look at the poll, and I think we are almost at a dead tie. I'm going to probably take a look at two today. I'll look at the one that has the most first, and when it's between 1 to 2 points, I usually just pull a card for each, and then we'll move on to the next portion of the reading. All right, so I'm just waiting to see. Okay, so yeah, it's close enough. I'm going to look at the first one that basically won is manifesting a happy surprise, and then I'll look at removing the anchor, and I think both of them deserve a second or two. So we'll start with the first piece here, which is taking a look at manifesting a happy surprise. We have the house. Oh, this is so good for some of you. Some of you may be really ready to buy a house, sell a house. You also might be looking for a place where you just feel more at home. So the house energy is showing me this new sense of belonging. So don't give up. I know that markets are crazy right now, but for many of you, we can take it at face value. So that's one thing that could happen. Also, before something comes into your life, you have to create space in it. So if you were to symbolize something new in your life, and you could just imagine that there's a house with open rooms that could be filled. It's a really nice meditation. Imagine what it would be like when new people come into that. Well, maybe we'll do that today for the meditation. But imagining you could open a door, open a new window, and there's new opportunities. So that's what I'm seeing, is to hold space, to make space. And then for those of you that are literally trying to find an apartment, a house, or a place to work or something like that, I'm seeing a new space around you. So that's nice. So what you can do in your life is to make room, because I'm looking at how to manifest it. So making room and holding space for it, all of that is going to be important, okay? Really nice message overall. Let's take a look at the one that was nearly a tie there, the removing the anchor or the devil energy. I think that's also really, really important for us to take a look at. So let's see what messages are coming through. We've got the star. Fantastic. All right, so as we're looking at removing the devil energy, what a great card to come through for this one. Okay, so basically what this is telling you is that don't limit yourself anymore. Truly be however kind of like odd or wonderful or weird or whatever you want to be. That's what is going to bring in everything. That's going to be the important thing. Many of you have been limiting yourself, muting your light, holding back a little bit because you didn't want to outshine someone. So that's silly. There are plenty of double, triple, quadruple star systems out there in outer space, And you can have that sort of energy of equally brilliant or differently brilliant stars, but they don't have to consume each other. So you can shine, they can shine. And if they are shining, you have that same sort of luminosity. If you're around the star, you are a star yourself as well. Especially if I pull this card. You're not a satellite, you're another star. So I want you to realize that you are on the same playing field. You're on that sort of level playing field that we talked about earlier. And again, earlier, it's not even about a game. You're actually just equals. So go back to Lady Justice here, who came through earlier when I was looking at the big idea. So she's basically saying, yeah, this is your moment. This is your time. So trust in that, okay? Good stuff. This is going to be a good month. There is a little bit of something that you might be putting out there in the form of that anchor or in the form of feeling like there's something that's worse than it actually is. So the sooner you deal with it, the sooner you maybe release that, the sooner you can step into abundance and seeing things come into fruition. And who doesn't want that, right? So beautiful stuff. Thank you so much. All right, we're going to prepare here in just a moment for the final portion, which is going to be a chance for you to meditate and ask me a question silently. Before I do that, I just want to remind you of a few things. As I said earlier, the single best way that you can show support for the channel is to hit the thumbs up. You can only do it once. Subscribe. You can only do that once in a lifetime. But like 70% of the people that watch don't subscribe, and that actually kind of hurts the channel. So it doesn't cost anything, so why wouldn't you do it? And you can actually opt out of notifications just like opting in. So if you don't want to get notified, you can just opt out, but stay a subscriber. So think about that. If you would like more notifications and know what's going on, join me on social media. I always tweet out what I'm going to do the day that I'm going to do it. I put a link on Facebook, and I use stories on Facebook and Instagram. And all of those are right here. And then Twitter is slightly different. It's Ashbaugh, but those are all my social links. If you want to give back one time, you can do that through a super sticker or super chat. You can also become a contributing member if you'd like. And all the information that you need to see is on my website. All right. So let's now move along to the final part of this reading, which is going to be a combination here. We're going to do a meditation, sound bath, and then the final card is up next. Meditation and sound bath only take a couple of moments. And I'm kind of, I'm trying to think, like, for the meditation, I could do two things. I could do sea-based, which might be fun. I think that's going to be more fun than a house. So I think we're going to do the sea. And maybe we can just imagine that there's a ship with open rooms or something under the sea. So we'll do something like that. Before I get into that, I'd like to just give you a chance to vote on what instrument you'd like me to use. So which instrument? And I have a singing bowl, and I have a crystal pyramid. And you can vote for either. Okay. So I'll let you decide as I set up the meditation, and let's get started. So I'd like to imagine that just like that really cool card that I pulled here, you are basically a merman or merwoman or merperson. Okay, so we see this lovely image here. You see a person swimming under the ocean. So let's imagine that you can breathe underwater. Don't be afraid, just kind of let yourself go there. Close your eyes, and for a moment, I want you to just feel how free it is to be independent of all the weight that we carry physically in our body, and then also figuratively on our shoulders and in our mind. So as you swim through the water, imagine that even though you're a being in the water, it's almost like you're transparent and you're going through it. So all this stuff that you've been holding on to, the water's actually filtering it away from you. So with each sort of like mile that you go or meter that you go under the water, you are freer and freer, lighter and lighter. And you get this sense of, it's like you're flying under the water, right? So take a moment to enjoy the sights and the sounds and everything that's around you. So, you know, if you're near a coral reef, maybe you've always wanted to be around a whale or around a dolphin or looking at jellyfish or sea anemones or whatever it is that you're looking at. You can see these beautiful creatures around you. And I just want you to enjoy the sort of like undiscovered country, this interesting place that you never knew you could be. And imagine that there's this, maybe there's an old shipwreck, and it reminds you of the house that we saw in that card. There's all these sort of rooms that you can go into, and the sea has kind of taken it over. So there are barnacles, there are little schools of fish all around you. There are some lost treasures in this ship as well. As you're looking through this find a room that is just for you. Maybe it has your name on it. And as you open it up, it's filled with light, and you see things that you forgot, lost, forgotten pieces of you and your soul, treasures. I want you to just take a moment while we're meditating and reconnect with those gifts, with those universal given gifts, the God-given gifts, and do something with them. Choose to reclaim at least one of them as I play the singing bowl. All right, so just enjoy, and I will rejoin you in about 1 to 2 minutes here after I play the singing bowl. Take a deep breath. Hold that treasure close to your heart. Feel that it melts into your being, into your body, and know now that you are embodying that thing that you lost, that piece of yourself that was shining so brightly in that secret room in the ship. I want you to take this gift and use it in the weeks and the months that come from now. Realize that you have the potential, you have the capacity to do whatever you need to do. Just reclaiming that sort of divine energy that's always been with you. Take a moment now, coming back to your body. I want you to focus on your final card, final question. So meditate on something that you need some guidance with, or guidance on. It can be anything in particular. Just focus on it, and let's take a look and see what kind of guidance is coming through for you. So as a yes-no card, this is one that would be affirmative, but it usually has a little bit of a caveat with it. So we have the Ace of Swords, and it's in reverse. And the Ace of Swords in reverse for this final card is reminding you that, back to what we talked about at the beginning, it's important to be outspoken, and it's important to get back to the point, or back to the sort of like main vision, main purpose of things. It is a revisionary sort of card, or revisionist card. So if there's something that you don't like, then what do you want instead? Constructive criticism. You can put that red line on a contract, but you better put something in place of it. You can say, I don't like this, how about this? So suggest an alternative, edit, ask for more, push back, engage. Somehow engage and be a proactive part of the solution. That's going to be important. But as a yes, no, it's a yes. It just feels like there's something that could be overly critical, or that you need to kind of really think out how you're going to do something to make sure that it gets done in that way. If you're looking at a health issue, one thing that I see with this again is sometimes you can be too hard on yourself. There's a critical element to this. So releasing the critical, adding some constructive elements to it, and then simply taking action. An upright Ace of Swords is saying it and doing it. The reverse of it could be worrying too much about it, arguing too much, negotiating too much. At a certain point, something has to get done. It is a straightforward card in reverse, so let's get that action started sooner than later. Okay, timing-wise, sooner than later is what this says. All right, so that's everything today. What a really lovely reading, and overall, I love where your energy is taking you. Once you get past that one limiting thing that we saw coming through with the devil, then the The world's your oyster. The sky's the limit. Pick your metaphor. It looks pretty good. So one last time, please feel free to show support if you would like to. Feel free to follow if you would like to. And you can give back as well if you would like to. I'm going to take a couple of moments here to say thank you to everybody. I want to start with everyone that just showed up today. If it's your first time here, welcome. I hope you stick around. It's a really nice community and I love being here for you. So hit that subscribe button and make sure you show up again in the future. For those of you that have been following me since like 2015, and I even started before that, but that's when I consistently started doing it. Thank you. I've been trying to make a lot of improvements along this way. You've been a part of that, so I appreciate you. For anybody that's already a member of the channel or a Patreon supporter, thank you. Again, all the stuff that I've been able to add over the past few months, I've been saving up for like a year so that I could do that. And you made it possible. So I appreciate it. And finally here, for everybody that's brand new, I'm going to take a couple moments to say thanks, but I wanted to start saying thanks to everyone that's been there all the way through it. All right. So give me a moment here and I'm just going to pull up new members. I want to welcome anybody that's joined in the last 12 hours or so. I'm going to try not to repeat people that I've thanked on the weekend. So I'll do my best to be able to remember who's who on this one. I think most of these I actually did say thank you to, but I'll quickly go through it just to make sure. Newberry Lisa, Melissa Grant, Deshonda Sullivan, Stacy Campanelli, Perul Aurora, Dina MAM, Lucy Rodriguez, and I think that's everyone from the last 12 hours. So if anybody I thanked yesterday and today, sorry for the duplicative thank yous, but you never can say thank you enough, so I appreciate that. I see a lot of you have rejoined, so welcome back again. I appreciate it. All right, I want to say thanks to everyone that gave a sticker or super chat, so give me a moment to do just that. Starting with Jeannie Davis for kicking things off today, thank you so much. Penny Williams right after that, Melanie Schaefer, Sarah Young, Robin Redman, Unseen Wanderer, cool name, Becky Ryan, Alex Ruffino, let's see, Marby Gongora, I think, yeah. Jeannie Hart, Lilia Cruz Garcia, Crystal Azure, and hey, Rob, good old friend there, Robert Miyoki. Very good to see you. I appreciate that. So that is everyone, I believe. So thank you so much for your time and energy today. And I hope to see all of you this week. Let me go ahead and give you a quick link to my upcoming schedule. So for those of you that are just wondering when I'm going to be live, let me go ahead and do that for you. Here's a link to upcoming, let's see, for some reason it didn't go through. It's already in my pinned comment, so don't worry about it. You can go to my website and just click live there. So that's that, and I'm just going to put the super up so you can see it. So everything that you need actually is here on my website. All right, but I will kind of read to you what I'm going to be doing the rest of this week so you have it. It is Scorpio on Thursday the 20th, Sagittarius on Friday the 21st, both of course at 9 a.m. Pacific time, and then I'll be doing another weekly collective. All the other signs will be looked at next week, so there you go. And here we go, now I got the link. For some reason I was only copying the last portion of it, so there's the schedule if you need it. Thank you again to Maria for her help with moderation, for everyone for showing up, and I wish you a very happy, for those of you in the United States, a happy Martin Luther King Day, and for everyone else, just have a fantastic week and month ahead. Lots of love and light to all of you. Apollo is napping behind me, so I'm going to just let him be. Past couple days, he's just felt like doing his own thing, and it's the weather. We've got some rainy weather like the rest of you, so anyway, lots of love and light. Take care of yourself, and I will see you soon. I'll see you the rest of later this week, Thursday and Friday. Bye-bye, everyone. Oh, and thank you, Nimi, at the end. I appreciate that.